Hello and welcome to the Santee Church of Christ Bible Study Review and Rewind, where we look back at the previous Bible study that we had on the previous Sunday. We meet at the building in Santee. We are the Santee Church of Christ, and currently we are in the book of Deuteronomy. We are in Deuteronomy chapter 22, and as we explained last week, and likely the week before, chapter 22 is a departure somewhat of the nationalistic law giving, the infrastructure that God was building for his theocracy. Chapter 22 marks a break into personal responsibility for the Israelite, his responsibility to nature, his responsibility to his neighbor, to his community, that sort of thing. So we've gone over a few things already, and we're going to get right into it. Now, we are not going to read the text, so I would suggest that you open your Bible and look at it before we get into this. So we are going to be reviewing chapter 22, verses 6 all the way through 30, to the end of the chapter. So the question in our book was, what are the pictures of holiness and righteousness in verses 6 through 12? And I'm just going to go through very quickly what the laws were. These are just various contingency laws. And I think when you see those, you can see the justice that God is dispensing for his people. The first one is a very interesting justice sort of law, where if you come upon a nest with its mother and its young, you can take the young, but you are to leave the mother. Interesting, isn't it, that God would think even of the animals that they are to be taking as food. If you build a house, put a guardrail on the roof. They had flat roofs, and a lot of times people would spend time up there, especially as the sun was going down. It was cool. It was a cool part of the day. So God is basically protecting his people. Consider your neighbor if he goes up there with you. Do not sow multiple types of seeds together. Do not plow an ox with a donkey. Don't wear mixed clothing. And put tassels on the four corners of your overgarment. So, and that first part about the birds, there are many analytical, metaphorical meanings for it to this that are written out there concerning compassion. In the literal sense, the reason given is that it may be well with them to do this. It makes sense that you let the mother live so she can continue producing chicks for you. She will no longer provide food if you take her. So both of the compassionate component and the literal components are true in this, and God was looking out for his people and wanted them to become wise and compassionate in their own senses towards other creatures that they were living with. The part about building the guardrail on top of the roof was so that they do not put blood on their house, so that their home would not be known for that issue. If somebody fell off your roof and died, then your home you would kind of lose face in a sense. Your name would be sullied because you did not take care of somebody who was going to be in your house. So this again is a call for compassion and thoughtfulness and consideration for others. The next law about not sowing multiple seeds together. We know today that is a common practice, and in fact we know that it does help in some senses to grow certain crops next to each other. I said in my own statement, otherwise the resulting fruit will be defiled. That was the reason not to do it. So I don't know if this covers GMO or grafting. It's kind of hard to know exactly. If you look at Leviticus 19:19, that's another place to go and see where this was dispensed as well. These next three commands cover putting things together that do not belong together. So we see God kind of calling back to creation where things are of their own kind. And that's kind of how I was looking at it. This is interesting to note because considering foods today are hybrids of their origins and maintain, and we maintain, in other words, God wanted to maintain what he made the way he made it. That was my opinion. There are lots of different opinions out there. And like I said, we know that there are certain plants today that grow well inside of crops. But I don't think he's addressing it like you would plant flowers, like you would plant a certain type of flower with your tomato plant. That's not two competing crops. They're not going to compete with one another. And that is the other thing that God was considering, even the plants that they are going to grow. Don't use a donkey and an ox together. That's obviously why. That is going to be terrible for the little donkey trying to keep up with this ox. And even in the New Testament, this is kind of inferred when they say, do not be unequally yoked with people. The Christian is not to be unequally yoked. In other words, a friendship or something where somebody's going to pull you along the way they want to go, that might be away from God. Do not wear mixed cloth and linen. I had a lot of discussion about that. It makes practical, it goes along with the keeping things pure theme in my mind, that God is keeping things in order the way he made them. Also, there are quite a few writings out there concerning, and I don't know, I couldn't find the evidence for this, that the tabernacle and the priestly garments, the undergarment was linen, and the outer garment, because it's this dyed fabric, is supposedly wool. So the speculation, and I'm saying this is just speculation, I would advise more research on it. The speculation is that the priests wore those garments, and so they were authoritative, and so you were not to dress like an authoritative person if you don't hold that position. That's just, that's out there. That's a writing out there. It makes some sense, but I just couldn't find where God actually said, those outer garments were made of wool. It just calls out a color. So I need to learn the language better, maybe. And the idea of putting the tassels on the corners of their garment goes all the way back to, I think it was Numbers 15:38. And basically it's to remind them of God. And God just gives them this word association, or this garment association. You put tassels on there and you remember me. So the next following verses, 13 through 30, deal with relationships. And the intimate relationship, the sexual relationship between husband and wife, or maybe not husband and wife. And I'll go through those very quickly. If a man accuses a bride of not being pure, he accuses her, and her father and mother are to bring her clothing to show that she was. So if she is, then, and he accused her falsely, he is to pay the father 50 shekels of silver, because he sullied his name as well as hers. And he is to keep her as a wife and cannot ever put her away. He can never divorce her. So, but if indeed she has been is now known to have defiled herself through fornication, then she is to be put to death. And we talked at length about why is there a discrepancy here between an already dispensed law about fornication and more specifically, when somebody is a false witness. And this goes to the idea of intent. And a lot of times person may not even know what he's talking about when he accuses somebody. And so God gives him the benefit of the doubt. We're going to see God give people the benefit of the doubt in these types of cases. These are contingency laws to the laws he has already made. Because he doesn't want, some young guy who doesn't even know what he's talking about, accuses his wife or something. And then all of a sudden he's going to die. Now she's already been somebody's intimate wife, and now she's going to be released from that. He needs to just take care of her. So we have to understand, this is not the 21st century. This is back away in a time when the culture was completely different. So let me get to the rest of them here. If a man is caught sexually with a woman, both are to be executed. In other words, this is consensual. When a woman is betrothed and lives in the city, if a man takes her, in other words, a consensual thing, and she complies, they are to be executed. In other words, they're committing fornication. If a man takes a bit, we have to understand that when a woman is betrothed, he's basically married in those days. This is a deal that was made between families. It wasn't a woman who was proposed to, like we know today. And she said, okay, this is a woman who was betrothed from one family to another family. So this is not anything like what we know today. Just wanted to put that out there. If a man takes a betrothed woman sexually in a field outside the city, the man is to be executed and the woman is to be let go because she screamed, but no one was there to hear her. And this is a case where God gives her the benefit of the doubt. If a man takes an unbetrothed woman and takes her sexually, he shall give her father 50 pieces of silver. She shall be his wife, and he can never put her away. So that is something that is consensual. That's not assault. And this is something that we didn't quite get to that point, but we'll get to that this following Sunday. So those are the laws that God is dispensing. And when you look at what God is looking for, he's looking for justice, purity, and compassion from his people. All of those things encompass those things. There's probably a lot more nuances in all of those things. But those are the basic things that he's looking for the people who are about to go into the land of Canaan. So that's it. That's what we looked at. That's what we studied. And believe me, there was a lot more there. We are meeting again in the building. You are welcome to come. We have a class on Wednesday nights. And we are currently finishing up 1 Peter at 7 o'clock. The Sunday morning class is at 9 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Thank you for listening. And may God always, always continue to bless us with his word. Thank you.